Today, in the art of making. How does sculptor Tleuzhan Batanov create his masterpieces? What are doppas, and where you can find the best of them in Uzbekistan? Today we will go to the magical kingdom which is ruled by inspiration, creativity, unique craftsmanship, and precious stones. Did you know that clay has different properties? This material influences serenity and humans' health in a positive way. According to the specialist, clay tends to remember every single move of the sculptor. It follows sculptor's fantasy and transforms into different shapes. Artist invests his heart and soul into creation of any of his artworks. The work created with heart is always successful. It has a positive effect on people. I suggest you to visit the sacred place, the workshop of sculptor who discovered magical properties of the clay. Would you like to have an image of female? Well, let's see what we have. I'm the kind of artist who doesn't make any drafts or sketches. I create what's on my mind. Before creating, it's necessary to choose a material. Scientists and geologists confirm that there are more than 40 types of clay. They differ in structure, composition, and color. In Almaty, Essex clay is yellow, and it has a good structure. This kind of clay is enough to mix with water and pass through a sieve. Anything else isn't necessary. It is fine. Astana also has a special soil. Walking along the river, you may see a beautiful black clay. Also, there is a yellowish clay. For work, we choose exactly these types. The next point is cleaning, because clay may have different dirt. For instance, if we don't clean the clay from the plaster or chalk, loam form can crunch while burning. There are several types of clay cleaning. We will show you the simplest one. Clay is put into the large container and mixed with water. Extra dirt sinks or surfaces within 24 hours. According to the master, first of all, clay needs to be passed through a special sieve. This is called sieve or net. In Kazakh it sounds like yelgezer. This is the same we use for flour. There are big and small holes. We pass it through them. Do you like baking? You definitely didn't expect this question. However, next point reminds dough making process. It's necessary to work with clay and roll it out. We have come to a very important point. It's when the clay takes a shape. under the influence of master's hands. Generally, this type of work with clay is well described with Latin word sculptura. It is translated as art of modeling, sculpturing, and carving. For example, to create a face, it's necessary to find a form. Human's head can have an oval shape similar to egg shape. Then it's necessary to find a center line. Everything made by nature has a symmetry, whether it's human, tree, or a picture. It's necessary to know proportions and measures. At first, we create the head and then the main line of the eyes. It's necessary to have some knowledge in anatomy. For the sculptor who works in realism style, special tools are needed. There are many of them. For example, tool with fine tip, which helps creating small details. True master doesn't waste time for steering the special tools. He creates them from the materials he has at hand. I think that handmade tool is the best, because it's possible to make it convenient for yourself. For instance, I make tool from birch tree. It's necessary to put them in oil, and after they absorb the oil, you varnish the tools and they work good. If during the working process clay dries a little, it's possible to wet it with water. For this purpose, Tleuzhan Batanov uses special brushes. Now, ready item needs some time to dry. Master will tell us about some of the special aspects and secrets. In summertime, sun is good for frying the works. It's also possible to use special oven with a temperature regulation setting. Sometimes during too high temperature drying, the item can crunch. Generally, I don't use oven. It's good when it dries at room temperature, in my workshop. It dries smoothly. Clay is very gentle, soft, and meltable material. It tends not to burn in fire and not to go underwater. How does it manage to keep its form for years? At a temperature of 1,000 degrees for about 5 hours. Clayware is burned twice. Why? If the temperature is 1,200 degrees, it's necessary to keep it inside the oven for 4 or 5 hours. The first burn is called biscuit firing. At this point, clay becomes firm. 9,000 years ago, mankind learned that burning makes the clay firm and hard. After burning process, item gains a terracotta color. To color it into another color, different paints are used. There are different kinds of paint, for example, engobe and glaze. For instance, glaze is used for cups and plates. After coloring, item is put into the oven for the second burn. For true master Tleuzhan Batanov, it took 1 hour and a half to make the sculpture. Of course, for newcomers, it might take more time to make it. Anyway, master's advice is not to be afraid of working with clay. The main thing is to feel the material. The rest is upon your inspiration and stretch of the imagination. Tibeteka or Skullcap has been a must-have part of Uzbek folk costume for many centuries, and it keeps the nature of sacred meaning and hidden power of traditions. Without exaggeration, it can be said that this simple skullcap is an essential and bright attribute of traditional outfit of many Asian nations. It's not necessary to wear tibeteka, but in some cases it's obligatory, in such occasions as funeral, during praying in mosque, or over religious holidays. Among Uzbek tibetekas, the ones which were made in Andijan are considered as the most popular. They are called Andijan doppa and Chus doppa, and they differ from the others with high cap. Those skullcaps have a classic black and white colors, like day and night, and 4 angles of the cap means 4 cardinal directions. If men of Andijan region prefer 2-colored tibetekas, women prefer more colorful and bright caps, in Iraqi style with cross-stitching. Most of the time, these caps are decorated with different elements. Most popular are pomegranates, roses, and so-called snake's trace, which is strong talisman. Andijan skullcaps making process is something incredible. It's when from a plain fabric piece and several white spools we get a true masterpiece of handicraft. Making of doppa demands hard work and patience, and it has several points. Usually women are involved in this process. Skilled craftswomen come together and everyone does its own part of work. One shapes details, another one stitches upper pattern. Meanwhile, the third one prepares close texture bases, and other is already making up the whole tibeteka. Every stitch is made by hand strictly, while singing songs and making jokes. For embroidery patterns, silk sewing is often used. For cap bases, different materials and fabrics are used, such as camel's hair, velvet fabric, silk velvet, and satin. The basic term is to follow the technology and give preference to natural materials. Cap's embroidery is not just a beautiful decoration, but it's a message to the future owner. This is what Andijan craftsmen believe in. Thus, upper part of doppa is decorated with 4 embroidered images of burning pepper, which is often used as talisman against an evil eye in the east, and usually is placed by the front door of the house. This is the workshop of Bakhtiar Artakbayev, one of the most famous artist jewelers of Kazakhstan. The master makes all his works in a special technique, filigree. This term is derived from 2 Latin words, filum, which means thread, and granum, which means grain. If you look closely, they look like grains. Filigree has long been present in Kazakhstan. It was also used in ancient times. But jewelry in filigree technique was made for the customers from rich people's circles, because the products were very expensive and only rich people could afford to order them. The essence of the filigree technique is quite simple, but it requires a high level of artistic and jewelry craftsmanship. The whole process is purely manual work.
Заготовки делаются на каркас. Потом саму филигрань.
Drafts are made on the base structure. Filigree is made with wire. Then we work on the design. Then proceed to the assembly. We start with the base construction. Then we make the filigree and braze it.
Все это паяется.
The design and assembly of each decoration is thought out carefully. Every smallest element is important. A distinctive feature of the jewelers from the Central Asian region is work with silver.
В банке покупаю серебро 4 девятки.
We buy silver in the bank. It's 4 nines. I compound it, then I make its purity of 925.
925 проба это что? 925% чистого.
Compounding is addition of impurities. A certain percentage of impurities in silver is added to achieve 925 samples. It is due to the fact that silver is too soft, and it's not recommended to make jewelry from pure silver. For instance, rings made of pure silver will lose its shape. The base has 925 purity and the pattern is 960. It's almost pure silver. Now I make earrings. I started with a cast. This is where the stone is attached. The master uses precious and semi-precious stones for jewelry. Emerald, ruby, jade, turquoise, amethyst, carnelian, and many others. This is the start of the working process. Then we work on the base. This must be fixed here, and then we make the pattern. The technique of filigree is to create an ornament by blazing elements of fine wire of precious and non-precious metals.
Это инструмент называется филигры. Кстати, это хорошие филигры. Алмазные сейчас таких нет уже. У ювелиров, как положено, филигры.
The stool calls drawing die. By the way, diamond drawing die is the best one. They are out of production. Jeweler have an order. This is the plate and these are drawing dies. They're standing in line, according to their numbers. I draw the wire through the small hole. The hole is a little smaller than the wire. I use pliers for that.
С помощью плоскогубцев она вытягивается. Потом беру следующий номер филигров.
Then I take the next drawing die with even smaller hole. Thus, the wire is drawn out, and a thick wire can be brought almost to the thickness of a hair. This piece of a wire can be drawn out to several meters long. We get a thick wire, and then I make patterns.
Вот этот кусочек проволоки, он может несколько метров стать. Понимаете? Вот это все делает филигры.
I use pin brazing. There is one place of brazing on the cast item. It's when you pour it over and take the item out, and all you left to do is to braze it. You braze it on 2-3 places and it's done. A handmade item can have up to 500 pin brazing.
В ручной работе там вот может быть где-то 500 точных соединений за пайки.
To give the metal a special gloss, the parts are put into a special chemical solution.
Сборка все завершена. Вот здесь вот я в кислоте делаю отбел.
The assembly is complete. Now I need to bleach it in an acid. Because when you finish the work, the item has come traces.
Белое, да, вот. Можно сразу к полировке приступать.
And using acid, we bleach the product. You can immediately proceed to polishing and to grinding too. But in manual work, especially in art, it's desirable to pre-blacken the product. I use a special solution. I put the bleached product in there, then I pull it out, it's all black. Then I do polishing to make the product shiny. It needs to be done qualitatively.
Она все черная. Потом я делаю шлифовку.
And after polishing, we add shine, but it all takes quite a long time. After all, this product is washed, and in the end, the mop remains inside and the pattern stands out. That is, the black creates the background.
После этого моется изделие. И в итоге получается вот этот...
The smaller the product, the less time it takes to make it. You can make very simple children's earrings in 1 day, or in 2 days. More complex items are made in 3 to 5 days.
Предположим, можно за день сделать, например, совсем простые там детские серии, да, за 2 дня там. Посложнее уже там 3-4 дня, 5 дней.
Incredible beauty patterns amaze with their sophistication and grace. When creating jewelry, Bakhtiar Artikbayev uses Asian techniques. Thanks to them, each jewelry gets its own unique value and significance.